ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Clarifications on incentive versus initiative. What we studied last week. Question: when someone is initiative driven, could they still be goal oriented or they can't? Could they be duty bound and goal oriented, or are they both contradictory? Question. First question: when someone is driven by initiative, could they still be result oriented? Goal oriented here means result oriented, or they can't be result oriented. Could they be duty bound as in obligations or result oriented, or are they both contradictory? Answer. In the context of a person driven by initiative, what is the source of initiative? Where does it come from? Yourself. The source of initiative to perform an action comes from yourself. It doesn't come from any external factor. Is the source clear? The source of initiative is never an external factor. The source of initiative is always your own self. Okay. External factor means what? Somebody has to tempt you to do an action. A temptation is required to make you do an action is called initiative. Sorry, incentive. You don't need any you don't need to get tempted to do into an action because you understood you need to perform. You need to perform action and you are doing it. This is called initiative. Is the difference clear? Everyone, is the difference clear? Okay. Now, if you look at it from this angle, a person who's having initiative will not be result oriented. Everybody will have a goal. Remember, action is impossible without a goal. Again, I repeat, action is impossible without a goal. You must have a goal, and if that goal isn't there, action itself is impossible. The goal per se is not a problem. The goal per se is never a problem. How the mind relates to the goal is the problem. Again, the goal per se is not a problem because without a goal, you cannot do an action. Elsewhere, in another textbook, he says, even a madman will not do an action without a goal. He says, even a mad person cannot do an action without a goal because you do an action. The first question that you have to ask is, for what am I doing this? For what am I doing this? Yeah, clarity that is. So if all actions presupposes that you have a goal. What is the difference between incentive and initiative? It has got nothing to do with the goal. It is to do with how you understand the action and the process of action. How you understand the process of action? You set a goal and you think what to do, what not to do, and you move in the direction of what to do, what not to do in relation to the goal, and you do all that is necessary and you avoid all that should not be done. Therefore, logically, what should happen? You have a goal. Carefully follow the sequence of what I'm saying. You have a goal, you have a required skill for it, you have done what should be done, you have avoided what should not be done. Therefore, what should happen? What should logically happen? Result should come according to your goal. Correct? Logically speaking, it should come according to your goal. But then it doesn't work that way. But then it doesn't work that way. This is where a person loses motivation. At this point, a person will lose motivation because I am doing it. I have done all that I could do, but still if it is not coming, what is the point of me doing it? That's where the person loses initiative to do an action, and that person has to be given motivation, which is in the form of incentive. Are you able to follow? Initiative comes from an understanding. Initiative is not from the goal. Remember that. Initiative never comes from the goal. Initiative always comes from the understanding. What is understanding? Carefully follow the steps that I'm going to say now, which is what I'm supposed to do. Anyway, I'm not answering the question. By this explanation, the question will get answered. By this explanation, it will get answered by. So what is that? Step number one, we need to understand in relation to action is, we find ourselves being born in a world that is already governed by laws. Are you okay at the first step? If you nod your head at the first step, then you are brainwashed completely. If at all you have a choice, if at all you have a chance to say what you are talking is wrong, இப்பதான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஸ்டெப்ல தான் you have a chance. அதுக்கப்புறமா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஸ்டெப்ல ஓகே சொல்லியாச்சுன்னா then you have no choice. So be careful about agreeing. விஜயரங்கன் சும்மா எஸ் எஸ்னா இல்லையா, தஞ்சாவூர் தலையாட்டி பொம்மை மாதிரி இருக்கக்கூடாது இல்லையா? You know that Tanjore bomba, no? That bomba, it will go, yes, and it will say yes to everything, and it will go back and do exactly the opposite. It is not understood. Therefore, understand the first step that has to be understood. What? We find ourselves born in a creation that is already governed by law. And those laws are not created by you and me. Agreed? Avrada. Problem solved. All problems are solved here only. You didn't create the law. I didn't create the law. We are governed by the law. We perform actions according to the law, and we reap the results also according to the law. What is the law that is governing us? We cannot understand. By what law we are going to reap the results or also we cannot understand. Second point now. Are you okay till now? Didn't brainwash step by step. Yeah, this is how brainwashing happens. Step by step, slowly we brainwash. And then research. Finally, we say what we want to say. And the fellow can't do anything now. Yeah, trapped. The fellow is trapped now. Yeah. That's how. Second important law. The relationship between an action and its results are governed by a law which we can attempt to understand but never change. Second important point. You can make an attempt to understand the law. Just because you have understood the law doesn't mean you can change it. If you have said the yes to the first two, then the third step. What is the third step? The results are governed and produced by law, which is not under our control. The problem lies in our reactions to the result when they come. Carefully follow now. Our problem lies in the in the reactions that I produce to the results when they come. And the result வரும்போது and the reaction தான் problem. And that reaction makes you lose those reactions make you lose the motivation to perform action, and that person has to be what to do now to make that person act? Incentive. Clear? Okay, 100 ரூபாய் extra கொடுக்குறேன். Clear? Your salary will be increased. Salary will be the same, but your title will change. Clear? Correct? No? Fraud. Yeah, salary will be the same, but your title will change. Yeah. Executive, senior vice president, executive director. You think that person is owning the company. Yeah, you look at the title, you will think that person is the owner of that entire organization. ஒண்ணும் கிடையாது. band 3 கூட இல்ல. band 3 இல்ல, band 4, band 5, band 6 எல்லாம் இருக்குதான். We don't have that problem at all. ஏன்னா band 1 we are not qualified. I don't have the problem of which band I will fit in, because I don't even qualify to band 1. The problem lies not in the results. The problem lies in the reactions that we have when the result comes. For every action, this is the law. Understanding this law brings about initiative to action. Understanding this brings about an initiative. What is that? For every action, for any action, a proper result accrues according to the law. What that law is, what is it, what factors govern those laws require a lot of patient study, understanding. If you don't have that patient, if you don't have that patience to study and understand, the other option is to have Shraddha. Clear? இப்போ no Shraddha, no patience. Clear? Shraddhaவும் கிடையாது, patienceம் கிடையாது. What will be the result? Incentives after incentives after incentives. Are you okay till now? This is the very fundamental understanding that we need to have. If you understand this, there is a very important corollary that you will derive, which is unacceptable to you. If you have understood all that has been said till now, you have to come to a conclusion, and that conclusion is unacceptable to you. What is that conclusion? The law that produces the results of your actions are not partial and cruel. They are impartial and they never fail. You have to understand. You will understand it. It's not that you have to understand that. You will understand that. But we don't see it like that. What do we see? We always feel the law is always partial. We always feel, no, sir, it is very partial, sir. It is very kind to others, but very cruel only to. It is kind to others, but cruel to me. Are you able to follow? To summarize all this as a formula, Whenever I say formula, Alpana, you are writing it down, no? Yeah, write it down. To summarize all this, as a formula, if you have to put, as part of nature, we should understand two things. What are the two things? What is our right and what is our limitations? Initiative to work comes from this clarity of understanding what is your right and what is your limitation. What is your right and what is your limitation? Ore Varsuda, Bhagavad Gita. In one verse, he says both. Karmanyevadikaraste ma paleshu kadachana. Ma karma pala heturbuhu ma te sangostva karmani. Forget the second sentence. The first statement itself talks about the formula for action. What is that action? It tells you what is your right and what is your limitations. So clarity in action comes from these two. What is your right? Adhikara. Karmani eva adhikara. Karmani eva adhikaraka means you can only perform actions. Not on the karmanyevadhikaraste ma paleshu kadachana. Not on the result. But where you lose initiative to action is you believe that your intelligence plus energy plus knowledge give you an authority over your result. Is it getting very complicated or simple? Very simple, no? I'm thinking I'm making it simple. I don't want to end up complicating it. It's very simple. The combination of your intelligence, your energy, your knowledge, all put together that goes into an action makes you to believe what? You have the authority over the result. Sir, I have done, I have studied, I have put in the time, I have put in that energy, I have brought in my resources. I did everything. Therefore, authority over the result is no. This human limitation is a fact of life, and we must be matured enough to accept the fact. You may choose not to accept. That's your privilege. Yeah. You may choose not to accept. If you choose not to accept, you will lose interest in performing action. Forget about obligatory nitya naimitika karma and all. Amit, you will lose interest in performing an ordinary action, like brushing your teeth only. Adige avlo effort vanu. Just to get up and brush your teeth requires motivation. Motivation. Just to get up and walk itself requires motivation. Why? Because nothing is cooperating. Nothing will cooperate. Are you able to follow? Therefore, if you understand all this, you will develop a maturity. What is the maturity you develop? You should avoid using the result as the motivating force of your action. Yeah. Yeah. I can only get married. Happy marriage is not the result. Marriage is right. Yeah. Marriage alone is possible. That is human. What is human right to get married? Limitation in a happy marriage, sir. We get married to be happy, no? So where is it said that you'll get you get married to be happy? We make money to be happy, no? and everybody's made money, everybody has gotten married. Are they all happy? It means this and that has no, it means both has no correlation. That's what we don't understand. It means you must develop a maturity. What is the maturity? Avoid using result as the motivating force of your action. And that is freedom. That itself is a very big freedom that you get. At that time, you are motivated, initiative. You are motivated to do whatever you want to do, etc. Where it gets a bit complicated is, it's not only the right you have over action. That's where Bhagavad Gita is so unique. Otherwise, everybody thinks Bhagavad Gita is like another MBA course manual. How to use Bhagavad Gita, sir? You can't use Bhagavad Gita in that way. Why? Because Bhagavad Gita, the Vedas is very clear. What are they very clear? The humans have the right on action, karmani eva adhikaraha, but it's not just action. There is a prefix to that action. There is a prefix to that action. What is that prefix? That right comes along with the responsibility to maintain dharma. You perform action, and that right to action comes with the tremendous responsibility of having to maintain dharma, because the result is a combination of the result, the dharma, etc. Are you able to follow now? But sir, dharmika irunda, it's not practical, no? It is not wise to be dharmic. No, it is nice to talk about being dharmic, but it is very unwise to be dharmic. Yeah. It is nice to talk about doing charity, but actually doing charity is not that wise, sir. Yeah. How is it possible? This broad framework you must understand first. This broad framework, if you understand, then you understand where we add in a very important factor to the right. It is not just, it is not the right of you have a goal and you perform the necessary action towards the goal. It's not just that alone. That is what you learn in the management school. Bhagavad Gita also is not going to teach the same thing. It adds up. The Vedas doesn't teach that, because what they are teaching, we don't have to teach the same thing again. But what Vedas is teaching us is something entirely different, very profound, qualitatively a different subject it brings in. What is that? The humans have a right on karmani eva adhikaraha, but that adhikara comes with the responsibility to maintain dharma. The responsibility to maintain dharma only makes it very, very frustrating. Because why that dharma, maintaining dharma will make it frustrating? Maintaining dharma will make it frustrating because dharma tells you at pain, at point, yeah, in a gun which it will tell you. Anything that you take as an entitlement, trigger will be pulled. Shot. Again, like Ravana, we come back alive. Again, like Ravana will come back. Again, the trigger. Again. The Vedic prayer, Rudramla, then they say. The Vedic prayer, Rudram, they say, yeah, prayer. How is it that your arrow doesn't miss the target at all? He is asking. Yeah. Have you ever seen Shiva with bow and arrow? Huh? மெட்ராஸ்ல இருந்துட்டு சிவாவை போன் ஆரோல பார்க்கலன்னா பிரயோஜனமே இல்லை. Have you seen Shiva with bow and arrow? Where? Have you seen Shiva with bow and arrow? You are living in Mandavali, no? எவ்வளவு வருஷமா you are living in Mandavali? 35 years he is living in Mandavali and not seeing Shiva with bow and arrow. He's coming. Every day he comes for 10 days. Kapali, road. He comes on the road with bow and arrow. Have you seen that? Have you seen that? Kapali, வெளில வரும்போது bow and arrow வச்சுதான் வருவார். அப்படியே, oh my God, you should see him. How he is? Oh God, I tell you. Scary. You see that? You want to duck away from that? In that Rudram, he says, how is it that your arrows doesn't miss the target at all? And who's the target? Who's the target? I am the target. How is it that you are hitting me with precision all the time, again and again and again? You understand all these, what will be your attitude towards action? அடுத்த வாட்டி பாருங்க, யூடியூப் வீடியோவாவது பாருங்க. இல்ல, go to YouTube. கரெக்ட், யூடியூப்ல தானே காட்டுறாங்கல்ல? யூடியூப்ல காட்டுறாங்களா? Go to YouTube and type Kapali 5th day night. Rishabha Vahanam type and see how he is coming. He comes in the night. Adu kuda abbe, oh God. We walk in front of him. You should not go behind it. We have to walk in front of him from 9:30 till 4 o'clock in the morning. And how long is that Madhavidi? 4 streets. Not even less than 2 kilometers. It will, less than a kilometer must be. Less than a kilometer. It will take 5 hours for him to go back. Abbe ninu near baru. Oh God, scary it is. Should do that. இல்ல பார்க்கணும், அதெல்லாம் பார்த்தா தெரியும். Scary. Why is one? You follow now? That initiative comes from this understanding. Minus, carefully follow. You remove dharma. Carefully follow now. You remove dharma from any idea and try to perform action, you will have to necessarily come back to incentive only. You can never have initiative, because initiative can come only from dharma, not from anything else. And that dharma is adrishta by nature. And this dharma being adrishta by nature, very difficult to comprehend that and perform action. Are we okay till now? I'm just building up. Class முடியறதுக்குள்ள somebody must get a heart attack, I think. Before we finish the class, somebody must get a heart attack. அப்படியே build up பண்ணினே போனா நிறுத்து. Enough, sir. Enough of your build up. It is possible not to fall for incentives if you develop an understanding. That's what we are trying here. If you develop an understanding, what is that understanding? An attitude born of understanding. What is that understanding? The nature of action and the result, dharma. If you understand all these factors, by default, nobody can demotivate. By default, nobody can demotivate you. So when we say it comes from yourself, we started by saying incentive comes from an external factor, initiative comes from within. Now, when we say initiative comes from within, not from your desire, not from your goal. Where does it come from? From yourself means from your understanding of the action, the result, all put together in one word. We call it as dharma. In one word, this entire field of this entire spectrum of knowledge, in one word, we call it as dharma. Because we don't like to use the word dharma, you use the word karma. If you don't like to use the word karma, use the word nature. If you don't like to use the word nature, use the word universe. Doesn't matter. Universe is supporting me, sir. What is universe supporting? Moon and Mars comes and support, is it? What is universe is supporting? There is an invisible law. There is something that is coming and keeping the momentum of actions going. Now, the answer. A person who is having initiative also has a goal because he has a clarity. Goal gives a direction to action. I have said this any number of times. Goal is not meant for attainments, achievements. Goal is meant to give a direction to action. Goal is the action or direction. That's all. The limitation of goal is over. What is the limitation of goal? It gives a direction to your action, because without a goal, there will not be a direction to your action. So goals are not meant for attainments. Goals are not meant for achievements. Goals are simply meant to give a direction to your action. Yeah. It's a direction to your action. You move. If not, you are all over the place. When you are having a goal, which is a direction to an action, initiative tells you that go on doing it. Go on performing what you ought to do, keep doing it. What you ought to do, keep doing. At the appropriate time, which you can never ever know, the result will come. That is initiate. At the appropriate time, the result will, at the appropriate time, the result will come. You don't decide what is appropriate time. Either result orientation. You don't decide what is appropriate time. According to you, what is appropriate time? Now, udane or no? Yeah. According to you, appropriate time is now. First salary, then we will work. Yeah. First give the salary. 1 year salary first. Then I will come to work. Or how does it work like that? Because you need to earn the result. You need to deserve the result. Remember that. You need to deserve it and you have to earn it. Work for it. Are you able to follow the difference between incentive and initiative? Now, last week, I didn't go into the details of this incentive and initiative from this angle. Therefore, obviously, there will be some lot of unconnected dots. Today, I'm trying to connect to those dots and then take up the clarifications. With this, because I know what was not connected last week, now I'm trying to connect to those dots. So, in order to understand it, make a tabular column. For tabular column, it becomes easy to follow. Incentive, initiative. Points of difference. What are the points of difference? First, source. What is the source of incentive? What is the source of initiative? Do that. Second, fixed by whom? Who fixes that? Who fixes the goal? Second, first is the source. Second is fixed by, determine fixed by whom. 3, what is the effect it has on action? Number 3. Number 4, what is the effect it has on your inner personality, on mind? Number 5, what are the consequences? Number 6, what are the limitations? Ivulallam puriyadu sir. Don't make it so complicated like one. Yeah, we came for philosophy class, not for mathematical class. The Mari, don't talk like that. Use an example. Use an example. Are you able to follow? Now, this is how you need to understand. It becomes clear. First, incentive versus initiative. Source. In incentive, the source is external. In initiative, the source is internal. Correct? It is internal, fixed by you. When we say fixed by you, not your desire, not your likes and dislikes. What is that? Your understanding. Carefully follow. When you say fixed by you, means fixed by your understanding. Correct? Second, source is inner inspiration. For incentive, the source is external prompter. Something has to prompt you from external. Carrot before the carrot before the donkey. At least கழுதை விட better இருக்கணும் இல்ல? Yeah. What is carrot before the donkey? முன்னாடியே இருக்கும், but it can never. You know that story, no? Carrot before donkey. See, the donkey must go round and round and round to the mill. Then only then only you can extract. Now, how to make the donkey go round and round and round? You can't keep whipping it all the time. So what is the easy method? What is the easy method? You put one carrot in front. Katti utranum kairla. As the donkey gets closer to the carrot, what will happen to the carrot? Carrot again now. That will take 2 steps. As it gets closer and closer to the carrot gets receding and receding and receding. So a time will come, the whole day it will go round and round and round the mill. But what it will never get? Carrot மட்டும் கிடைக்காது. So அதனால அன்னைக்கு சாயங்காலம் அந்த கேரட்டை கையில குத்துடணும். So that next morning it will start all over again. இது ஒரு வேலையா? Is this the way a human being should perform? Is this the way a human being should perform action? Incentive versus initiative. The first source. Second, fixed by others. Incentives is always fixed by others. Initiative means you do it. That's your inner courage and strength. The third factor, effect on action. Incentives brings about a temporary boost to action. A temporary boost to action comes from incentives. Yeah. Everybody, yeah, they're always telling me. If the person is working very sincerely on a day, I will ask, salary I will ask. Because on that day, the sincerity is very different. You take the salary, 10 days, everything is over. And for the next 20 days, no initiative at all. Correct? That's why they say, I'm slogging, sir. I worked, slogging or logging? I don't know. What is that? Slogging them. Nothing comes out of it, sir. Nothing will come. Nothing will come. Because the dharma is not, see, there's no dharma that is aiding it, backing it. the effect on action, temporary boost, and built by an initiative is built permanently. It means how much ever the results didn't happen, how much ever the result doesn't go in your way, you can be motivated. You can be motivated again and again and again. You will be initiative. There is no tired, there's no mental, you don't need that external motivation. That is the effect on action. What is the effect it has on mind? The effect incentive, the effect of incentive on mind is addiction, addictive. Initiative is a conviction. Addiction and conviction. In incentive, you will be addicted. Addicted to what? Addicted to? Correct. Yeah. One மாசம் இவ்வளவு பெரிய கேரட் அட்லீஸ்ட் இந்த மாசம் at least the length it should become this much. No, why only 1 carrot? Why can't it be 2 carrots? Addiction. In initiative, it is a conviction. Are you okay? Now I am asking, what will be the consequence of initiative and what is the consequence of incentive? Okay. Now, direct to question. Don't type or tell me the answer for initiative. Tell me what you think is the consequences of incentive. Tell me what do you think will be the consequence of incentives. You would also know. We have spoken so much last week, this week, and all that we have spoken. Based on all these, what can you theorize at least? Forget about you having a conviction on this. At least what can you theorize about the consequence of incentive? Misery, frustration, consequence of no contentment. What is the consequence? You become numb. Tamas. Only agitation. Mada. And the most only agitation. After 35 years. 39, 39 years to understand. Only agitation. Approach, he will cry. Why it is not happening? What is the consequence? I will say the words. If I say the words, you will say, oh, correct. All that you are saying is generalizations. It doesn't convey exactly what it is. I will say, I have my own words for everything. And if anybody uses my word, I will quickly change also. Yeah, that way I will cheat also. What are the consequences of incentives? The first consequence of incentive is corruption. The first consequence of incentive is corruption. We don't even understand the connection. That's the problem. Corruption is the first thing. Corruption is the first consequence to incentives. Yeah. Are you able to follow now? Wherever you see an individual or a society corrupted, you understand that individual or society is driven by incentives. First consequence of incentive is corruption. Sir, book la adala illave ille sir. It's not at all there. You have to derive all that. Yeah, that's why. Second consequence of incentive. First consequence, corruption. Misery, agitation, only agitation. No answer. It means even theorizing, it means we are not even able to theorize it. That's what I'm trying to explain. We are not even able to theorize it. So the first consequence of incentive is corruption. What is incentive? இதுக்கு இவ்வளவு கொடுக்குறோம்னு சொல்லிட்டாங்க. Even then, why do you have to give more and more and more? That's corruption. No. You pay on top of it. On top of it, you pay. On top of it, you pay. Now, sir, at least வாங்கனா வேலை பண்ணி கொடுத்துருவாங்க sir. Now it has come to a point where at least they will take and at least do the work. There are people who are corrupt and not do also. Oh. Beautiful house is there, beautiful car is there. உள்ளுக்குள்ள என்ன இருக்கு? அங்கதான் misery. Yeah, car is there, house is there, wealth is there, but inside miserable. Kripana palahetavaha. All that we have studied. I'm just putting everything in one. All that I am making it into one. I'm trying to bring it in one place, which is spread over. It is spread over everywhere. Kripana palahetavaha. Wretched, they say. You become, what is corruption? The first indicator of the person consequences of incentive is corruption, because salary is not enough. Yeah, it's not even greedy. It is, you can't even call it, you should not call it as greed. It is corruption. Second indicator, second consequence. One, what did I say just now? Corruption. Corruption. Second indicator. In my head, I am jumping 4 steps. I have to come back and I have to slow down and come back. So first one is corruption. The second one is that's where you all will experience it. A indifferent way of doing and an absolute indifference in doing it, consequently resulting in not doing it at all. But then incentive will make you do very, what do you call that? Or indifferent attitude. That is tamas. That indifferent attitude, which actions will be done. So the first consequence of incentive is what? Corruption. The second consequence of incentive is an indifferent way of doing. If you see anybody performing actions in a very indifferent way, indifferent means lack of sincerity, dedication. Are you able to follow? We are not talking about the highest skill here. To whatever skill you have, you should be dedicated. To whatever skill you have, you should be sincere. We aren't talking about the highest caliber here. Are you able to understand the difference now? Even at that level, there has to be that. So a person of incentive can never be. The way they do the action, you feel like so frustrating to see people acting. So frustrating. Tamoguna. How much ever intelligence you have, how much ever skill you have, you will still be categorized as a tamasic person. Are you able to follow now? You can be the highly skilled person from the best university in the planet, but still you will be called as tamasic only. Are you able to follow? First indicator. What the consequence? These are all the first consequences. First consequence is corruption. The second consequence is indifferent and and indifferent attitude to perform action. Yeah. The third consequence. Athoda, we will stop. The third consequence. The excitement with which you wind up the activity versus the excitement with which you start the activity. Another important indicator. The excitement with, like, you can see the people, no, 5 மணிக்கு ஆஃபீஸ் க்ளோஸ் ஆகுதுன்னா 3 மணிக்கு, if the office is going to close down at 5 o'clock, they are packed at 3 o'clock itself. Ready. No, sir, time is over. Come tomorrow. Illa, sir, another. Yeah, I have seen how many. So funny it is. So funny. I'll tell her, 2 hours. Sir, winding up takes. No, what? Are you in a godown taking, stock taking, or what? See, if you are working in a godown and you have to count to 3,500 bricks in it will take. Sitting on a desk, there are only files. You just have to look at the file and give the answer. But no, the excitement with which winding up happens versus the excitement with which you start. Now I am asking, what are the consequences of initiative? Now I am asking, what are the consequences of initiative? Wait, 1 second. We are not going to the initiative now. Incentives, there is a problem. Yes.
It's a basic expectation, right? When I go to work, I expect salary. I need some leaves. Then, I expect promotion, yearly increment. These are basic expectations that I have. I'm not corrupting. I don't work with anything.
Correct.
Then are we not supposed to expect even that when we do our?
Yes.
Some expectation we need.
Correct. Yes. The question is, some expectations is needed to motivate. No. That's the goal. You go to work with a very specific goal of what? You go to work with a very clear goal of wealth. There's a very clear goal. That as far as that goal of wealth is concerned, it's not a problem at all. You go to work only for, you're not doing social work. You go to work for livelihood. Everybody, livelihood social work not needed. Because there are only 2-3% of humanity which are physically incapable of not doing, they need help. Social work, it's not at all needed. If everybody goes to, if everybody is working at their level, therefore it is very clear that we all human being goes to work for artha. The first goal is very clear. Artha, kama, dharma, moksha. The four goals which are accepted as natural. The first goal of the natural goal is, first one is artha, the wealth. The problem is not with the wealth. The problem is not with seeking the problem is not with seeking a promotion. That's the growth. You want the salary, you want the promotion, you want all that. Is never a problem. What is the problem then? If we say all this is not a problem, then what is the problem? The goal is not a problem. Sorry. The wealth is not the problem. The promotion is not the problem. You must be recognized for what you do is not a problem. Then what is the problem of incentive? the hurry, the speed with which I want, the hurry, the speed with which I want all this. And if any of this doesn't happen, I get demotivated, upset. Now, as far as having these goals are concerned, it is legitimate. When it should come, there is a law that governs it. You follow what I'm saying now? All these expectations are correct. I work towards it. When it should come to me, I should leave it to a superior intelligence to decide. That superior intelligence is what we call as dharma, law, God, whatever it is. You follow what I'm saying? Therefore, having these goals is never a problem. Having these goals of wanting to attain, wanting to be profitable. Like a person does business, obviously, what will the person want? Profit only. Nobody is going to do it for loss, isn't it? I'm investing for loss making. Will anybody do that? Nobody will do that. As far as the goals are there, we have a clarity. Where we don't have a clarity is only the time factor on when it should come to me. The fructification, when it should come to me. When it should come to me, I must not determine that. When it should come to me, I should not determine that. Because when I say I determine when it should come to me, I am bypassing the law. I am taking the law onto my hands. Are you able to follow? So all these expectations are correct. Without these expectations, you can never go to work or any action for that matter. Any action for that matter. Then what are we talking as? Karmani eva adhikaraha ma paleshu kadachana. Your right is in fixing the goal and doing the right action towards that goal. That is your right. What is the limitation? What is the limitation? When it should come, how much it should come, I leave it to the law to decide. Then I am free. So what we are saying here is a maturity to not to be bothered about it or affected by it. You follow? Supposing if it doesn't come, carefully follow now. If do I judge the sincerity of my action by the result or by my doing? How do I judge? What is the criteria to see how sincere and dedicated I am? Is it by the result? If it is by the result, I will always feel agitated. If it is by the conviction of work, you know that you have done Krita Krityasya Bharata, 15th chapter. The 15th chapter, last verse of 15th chapter is Krita Krityasya. What is Krita Krityasya? The satisfaction of what you need to do today, you have done. Yeah, what you need to do today, you have done. Krita Krityasya. Are you able to follow? Here, the person, we say this person is having an initiative, not dependent on incentive. Now, incentive means what now? You should never understand your sincerity or dedication by the result of your action. You should never judge like, you should never assess that. Now, where comes the problem is we assess based on the result. Result didn't come, therefore I want to go back and see where I went wrong. Are you able to follow that? Result didn't come, therefore I want to go back and see where I went wrong. Is that the way to find out where you went wrong? Is that the way to find out? The way to find out what you should be exploring, why that kritakrityascha is not happening. That you should explore. But nobody explores that. If everybody explores from the angle of what? Everybody explores from the angle of? Because result didn't come, find out where you went wrong. At the machine la kandupidikkala. In a machine, you can find that out. Are you able to follow? In a machine, you can easily find that out. Why? Because machine is governed by a fixed number of parts. Machine is designed by a fixed number of parts with clear date of expiry, wear and tear. Very clear. The mistake that we do is what? Machine a deal pandra madri, you want to deal yourself also, which doesn't work. Are you able to follow the difference now? Now, we always find out where I went wrong only based on the result. The opposite also, because it went in my way, I start thinking I did the right thing. Are you able to follow the other side of it? Because the result went in your way, you think what? I did the right thing. I knew exactly what to do, sir. In the past and all, I knew exactly what to do, sir. Results were coming. Now nothing is coming. In the past, Punya Karma was protecting you. Yeah. In the past, some Punya Karma was protecting you. You are being all right. Now all that is Kshine Punya, all that is exhausted. Now you have to do something to build up the Punya Karma again. All of that. Very simple. Where is the problem? Are you able to understand the sequence? This is how it always works.
Where I'm disconnected is what the consequence. And I'll probably be corrupt, I'll take corruption, or I'll back with an indifferent attitude. So that is where I'm a little bit disconnected, because
yes,
maybe I won't get the result, but
yes,
I won't play politics there.
Yes.
Or I won't,
yes,
do corruption there.
Yes.
That is where my
Yes. What she is asking is, the problem is only with your consequences, sir. I don't have a problem. The consequence that you said as incentive as corruption and corruption and indifference is unacceptable. She is not saying unacceptable. She is very polite. I'm disconnected. Yeah. Very good, at least. Yeah, polite. You are wrong. Yeah. Aparna, you are not saying that, I know. Corruption is not just bribe. It is one aspect of it. What is corruption? It is not bribe. What is corruption? The very frustration is corruption. The very frustration that I have is corruption, which is born of ingratitude. Are you able to follow? The very frustration that I have is corruption, and that frustration itself is born out of ingratitude. In the company, they don't give. Huh? They don't recognize her. This company doesn't recognize genuine people at all. And they will give promotion to all those who are undeserving. Huh? Are you able to follow? What is corruption? Thankfulness, when the intensity of thankfulness is reducing, that is where corruption has, the seed for corruption is sown. It may take a lot of time to manifest as bribe. It may take a lot of time to manifest it as bribe. Now, here we are addressing it at the, here I want to address it at the root level itself. That's why I use very powerful words, corruption. A person says, I'm not corrupted, sir. I did what I wasn't a person of corruption. I never took bribe. I was doing everything sincerely only. It's not just sincerely. Thankfulness. Sincerity must be preceded by thankfulness. If gratitude is not preceding sincerity, very soon there will be a drop in that sincerity. That's where incentive takes over. Very soon it will go. Are you able to follow now? Now, therefore, a constant reminder of thankfulness is needed. If that constant reminder of thankfulness isn't there, corruption has already emerged. I'm not a corrupt person, doesn't mean I don't take bribe. It's not about it. It's not as gross as that. It will, over a period of time, it will end up there. Are you able to follow? But what is the starting point? What is the starting point? We have a very beautiful culture, no? We have a very beautiful culture. The taxi driver must worship the taxi before starting the first ride. The taxi driver must worship the taxi. Thankfulness varnanga. In that thankfulness, I worship and I wait 3 hours, no customer will come. For 3 hours, no ride I will get. Does that mean my prayer has become redundant? The mind starts connecting it like that. Are you able to follow? The mind starts connecting like that. That's where corruption starts. In those days, they do that. Nowadays, they do. I don't see anybody doing that nowadays. In those days, they do. Yeah. The grandmother will put column to the stove. They put column to the stove, they will put. Wow, what a culture it is. Will anybody go and put column to the stove? It is like the taxi driver showing. It is exactly the same principle. It is like the taxi driver showing the thing to the taxi. The grandmother goes and does it to the stove. Yeah. Another the culture is before you go to sleep, it should be clean. You can't leave it dirty and go to sleep. That is being unthankful. Are you able to follow? It has to be clean. That is the way, that is how you show your thankfulness to it. So it is thankfulness is in every field of activity. Yeah. So beautiful, no? Ayudha Pujaniki, all the trucks that takes garbage will be worshipped. So beautiful to see that. I love seeing that garbage trucks being decorated, worshipped. Yeah, dustbin. They do that puja to the dustbin. They said, once in a year they do puja to the dustbin here. Who will do that? Thankful to the dustbin, because that is giving. That's their bread. Oh, wow. That is not doing. That is corruption. Not being thankful is the starting point of. Not being thankful is the starting point of corruption. What is not being thankful means complaining, criticizing, and doing. Better than not doing, complain and criticize and do. Not doing, complaining and criticizing, doing is better. But complaining and criticism doing is also wrong because there is another way of doing. What is the other way? That's what we called as initiative. Are you able to follow? No? So what we mean by corruption is not that actual, not that bribe thing, that lack of thankfulness. Yeah. In those days, I used to see, that I'm assuming everybody would have seen it. Yeah. So beautiful it is to see. So beautifully to see when the garbage truck is, when the garbage truck அதுக்கெல்லாம் விபூதி எல்லாம் போட்டு வாழை மரம் எல்லாம் கட்டி, wow. That is being thankful. So what is the starting point of corruption? The starting point of corruption is not being thankful to the field of activity and assuming that what I deserve, I am not getting. Remember, the starting point of corruption is this. What I deserve, I am not getting. If you are so convinced about what you deserve, you are not getting, very soon the mind will switch. Are you able to follow now? If you start thinking what you deserve, you aren't getting, very soon the mind will start thinking in terms of how to get it. Angada, the seed for adharma is sown, and very soon it will become ஆலமரம் மாதிரி ஆயிடும். அப்புறம் very difficult to get it. Are you able to follow now? So what is meant by the consequence is, number one, forgetting to thank. First indication. Second is what? Always a complaint that what I do, I weigh. What I do, what I get. What I do, what I get. On the scale, தராசுல எப்படி இருக்கும்? What I do, இங்க இருக்கும். What I get is இங்க இருக்கும். In the scale. That's why people say peanuts, sir. Peanuts I'm getting. அதாவது கிடைக்கிறது. Yeah. At least peanuts I'm getting, no. Instead of starving. So starting point of corruption is what? I weigh, I come to a conclusion. What is the conclusion? What I have done and what I deserve versus what I have. The gap இருந்துட்டே இருந்தா, that's corruption. You follow? With this, I conclude for today. We'll continue in the same discussion. Okay.